All right, so I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible with it still making sense. I'm going to try not to give you a 20-minute video, but this is a fairly large section to get through. So there are a few vocabulary terms, and by a few, there's quite a few. So we're going to go through them. I'll go through them again as fast as we possibly can with them to still make sense. So the first one is algebraic expression, and my pen don't want to work. So for the algebraic expression, that is a equation without an equal sign. With no equal sign. So, for example, an algebraic expression might be 10d. It could be p times q. It might be 2x plus 4. Notice in all of these, there's always a variable. And what is a variable? A variable is a symbol used to represent a value. Okay, the next thing that we have is what is called a term. A term is separated by adding or subtracting. So for example, if I have 2x plus 4, that is term 1. And this is term 2. There's one term on either side of the parenthesis. Typically speaking, though, this isn't considered a term. We would usually call just a plain number a constant. So a term, by definition, has a variable. All right, so there are some other words that we're going to go through. Product means the answer to multiplication. The power refers to an exponent. So for example, x to the nth power, that n is considered a power or an exponent. And then the base is the value or variable in front of a power. So that x there would be then the base. So what we're going to be doing with all of this, we are going to be taking algebraic expressions and then writing them in words and vice versa. So for example, if I had 3x to the 4th, how would I write that as a set of words? Well, I know that anything between this 3 and the x means I am multiplying. If I have a variable right beside a number, that means I'm going to multiply. Remember that there is a power. And then I have some variable, which remember is some value. So I have 3 times or multiplied by times or multiplied by a number so these are interchangeable, to the, and I'm dropping down here, power of 4, and actually write out 4. Another way you could say this is 3 times x to the 4th power. You could have said that that number is x itself, or you could have said a variable. Any of those things would have worked. So if I'm describing multiplication, I can use the word times. I can use the word multiplied by, the phrase. I can use the phrase twice if I am multiplying by 2, so I'll put a 2x there. I can also say the product of. If I am adding, I could say greater than. I could say more than. I could say sum of. If I am dividing, I could say the quotient of. I could say divided by. Those are the 2 most common you'll see. Or if I am subtracting, I could say less than. I could say the difference of. Or I could say decreased by. There are some other things, but these are typically the ones that you will see the most. If I have a power, you can say typically what is used is to the blank power. I could say to the power of. Whatever the number is, anything like that will work for power. So let's do another one. If I have 5z to the 4th power plus 16, that would be written as 5, and I'm multiplying here, times, and I'll use the variable, z to the 4th power. And then I could use any of my words for my adding, so greater than, more than, sum of, or I could even just say plus, or I could say minus here. So plus 16. So go ahead, try this one. And when you try that, you should then get this answer. You should get 16 times u, or any of those multiplication words, to the power, or any of the power phrases, of 2. If it's squared, that means that I have something to the 2nd power. So I could have said u squared minus 3. So sometimes then I'm going to be asked to go in the opposite direction. So maybe I'm given a number t more than 6. So remember, I said if I use the phrase more than, that means I am adding. So it would just be that t plus 6, or you can write that the other way. If I asked you for 2/3 of the volume V, 2/3 is a fraction that is 2/3. So if I have 2/3, 3/5, if I'm writing a fraction, it'll be my number over whatever that expletive is, or not expletive, but whatever that is in that power. So if I was writing, it'd be like first, second, so it'd be like 2 firsts, or if I would usually use halves for this one. So it'd be like 5 halves. 3, if I'm going to use 3, I'm going to use thirds. So to the third, fourths, 5 sixths, so on and so forth. So remember, if I'm using that number underneath as 2, it's going to be a half. So volume V is going to be that one. So for another example of this, and I want you to try this one, what is 1/3 the area A? And when you do this, you should get 1/3, so 1/3 means 1/3, and then area is just A. For either of these, you could also write it as 2V/3 or 1A/3 or just A/3. Those mean the same exact thing, so any of that's fine. All right, finally, you're always going to end up with some kind of word problem. So for an example of a word problem, if there are 250 keychains, and they all have an athletic logo, so with a logo. And then there are 500 pencils with a name on them. What would be an expression ION? I totally didn't type that right. Expression about the order cost. So I am ordering 250 keychains and I have 500 pencils. So if I'm putting things into my Amazon cart and I have 250 keychains in there and 500 logos, my keychains cost something, and that price is added to the price of my pencils, and those also cost something. I just assigned these K and P. I called my keychains K and my pencils P. You could use whatever variables as long as they are 2 different variables. And that is all that is. So I'm going to give you one to try, and this is going to be part of those last sets. I'll help you through this one, but then you'll get one more. So Katie bakes, there's 40 donuts, and coffee for 200 people, so 200 coffees. So again, write an expression about the cost. So maybe you want to assign donuts D, whatever letter you picked was fine, and coffee C. So if I have 40 of them, they all cost something, and that cost is added to the cost of my 200 coffees. So that is all that you have there. All right, so just like last time, I'm going to give you 3 problems to work through. First one, write out 2/3 r to the 4th. That's the first one. Your second one, you're going to write the expression. Oops. For 1 minus, let's not do that one. I don't like that one. So we're not going to. Let's do expression 7 more than 11 times a number. And finally, if some groceries were purchased and a $50 bill was used, write an expression for the amount of change. Okay, so D dollars were purchased. And a 50 was given. Writes an expression with regards to change received. For just a hint, you're going to use subtraction here somehow. All right, so again, go back, rewatch the parts that you didn't get, answer these questions. You're going to want to have these notes on a piece of paper. You're going to take a picture of them and submit them. Hopefully you read those instructions. Have a great rest of your day.